Holy crap! So you just bought this new home and now you got an indoor pool that you weren't necessarily planning on.
Now what do you do?
Hello everybody, my name is Barry Horvath and this is Moving Forward TV with your local market update.
And I am DeLynn Gaston. Thank you so much for joining us today. On today's show we have a guest. Dun dun dun!
Is that who that was?
Our good friend John.
I thought he was the now what are you gonna do guy.
He is. Our good friend John McMenamin is back visiting with us today.
From McMenamin.
I love saying that. That's like one of those fun words. McMenamin. It's taken me about a year to learn how to say that.
You know what I prefer to call him? MLG.
I call him John.
Hey MLG. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's better than Hey You.
I know. You like our indoor pool here?
Wow, so we need to talk about that.
So here's what we're talking about on today's show. So John's has been about a year, and Hurricane Irma has happened since then. John got
It's been a year since Irma.
Almost,
Wow.
but almost a year. Irma was last September.
10th?
Yep,
Wow.
he knows the date by heart. John has picked up lots of business from some unfortunate people in the area who have had some issues and such. So we wanted to talk about, first of all, a lot of people didn't know during Hurricane Irma and after the after effect, it kind of came through and pretty much hit the entire state, what was covered by flood insurance, what was covered by homeowners insurance.
And it's an important decision for people to know if they should buy flood insurance or not buy flood insurance. Because
whether you're in the zone or not.
Yeah, because right now, we deal with buyers, and a lot of them are first-time home buyers. And while you may never have a flood in your lifetime, you need to know, it's just like buying a home, what insurance you buy is an important decision because some things are covered, some things are not.
Right.
So John is on the other side. Rather than selling insurance, he's telling you really what is your insurance
Right, he's
cover.
got no gains in this.
Yeah, you got no skin in this. I mean, you're really the... I don't want to call you the Antichrist because that's probably not.
No, that would not be a good thing to say.
The anti-insurance god,
But he's neutral.
He's neutral, but he fights for the homeowner.
We can call him Switzerland.
He's going to fight for the homeowners against the insurance company.
Right.
So
The worst day I have is when I have to explain to an insured that the insurance company's right or that there was no insurance, and it's because a lot of people don't understand the insurance. They don't know what questions to ask, and they might not know what's covered.
And what we look at from the lending perspective is how much is the monthly payment on that insurance you're about to buy, because it affects the homeowner's monthly payment, it affects their debt ratio, and can you afford it? So it's kind of that balancing act on what coverages you should and shouldn't
Now, the
get.
homeowners insurance, they have to get. That is a requirement. But flood insurance, unless you're in a flood zone, it's not a requirement. But sometimes you might want to do it. So first of all, let's ask John, if you can explain to everybody what under certain circumstances, what would be covered under your flood insurance policy if you had one, and what's under your homeowners insurance policy?
The easiest way to explain it is this. If the water touches the ground before it enters your home, it's a flood. If a broken pipe a pipe breaks in your home and the water flows out of the pipe and ruins your house, that's homeowners insurance.
Like your washing machine hose. If that breaks, that's homeowners insurance.
That's homeowners insurance. It has to touch a flood event would be something, it could be even something as simple as the storm drain in front of your house floods the street and the water comes into your house. It's touched the ground first and it's come in.
So that's covered under flood?
Under flood.
Okay. All right.
And interestingly enough to know, in a situation like that, what John told me earlier was your homeowner's insurance, if you didn't have flood insurance because you're not in a flood zone, but the storm drain in front of your house from one of these rains backs up and comes into your house, if you don't have, your homeowner's insurance is going to reject it.
And even if you're not in a flood zone, I've had instances where the neighbors next door were changing their landscaping or changing the grade of their property to build a new house, and the waters flowed from their property, something that wasn't expected and hadn't happened in the past 10 or 20 years, that someone might have been living in a home, and all of a sudden they have a flood event because something's changed next door or a retention pond might have been built. So
the general rule is if it comes from the outside and comes in unwanted, just like our little swimming pool in the living room here, it's flood coverage.
Not
if it touches the ground
necessarily.
first and comes into your house.
Touches the ground first is the
touch
key
ground.
word.
So what about your toilet? Your toilet's sitting on the ground. What if the water rises up through the
He
plumbing?
means the earth first, I think.
That's a whole different story. That's actually a sewage backup, which may not be covered under either policy. So we'll get to that
Really?
another day.
Oh, really?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh, that totally sucks.
It's a
No
separate rider that
kidding.
you might be able to get
So
under
you
your
buy
policy.
a toilet rider?
You have to get a toilet rider, and I'm
Kinda
thinking
do.
the same
Does that
thing.
come with a toilet
A
seat?
sewer system rider? That's crazy.
So if it came up back through the sewer system, it may
It's
not
called a
be-
backwater flood, and it's very expensive to fix, but it may not be covered under your policy. So
So here's the interesting thing, though, getting off the toilet part for a little bit. The interesting thing, and that's why I said it has to touch the earth first when you
Right.
were saying if it comes from the outside, because we were talking earlier, if something happens and, your shingles are old and starting to curl,
Right.
so a leak gets in,
Right,
it's coming from the sky
right.
into your house,
That's not flood.
not flood.
What is covered? What does that cover that by?
well, that's another interesting point. Let's use this example. If a window was broken during
I
a
know,
hurricane,
We're like, really?
if a window was broken during a hurricane and water blows in through the window, the broken window, that hadn't touched the ground before it entered the house, so it would be covered under your homeowner's policy. Now, a roof is very different, because if you have a roof that's old or deteriorated and it hasn't been maintained and water leaks into your house, most people think I've got full coverage. I hear that word all the time. There's no such thing as full coverage. If water enters your house through your roof and it's just because your roof is old and hasn't been maintained, there may not be coverage for that. There may be what's called an ensuing loss, which may cover some of the drywall and some of the interior damage to the house, but most policies are now getting rid of that each year. More and more companies are getting rid of that coverage. So unless there's a shingle blown off your roof or some other event where a tree limb comes through your roof, an artificially created opening in your roof where water can enter, it may not be covered by your homeowners either.
All right, shut up. We got to go to break. We got some more great information coming up. You like how I cut you off there?
I know. I was just going to ask a
trying to be
question.
general. No, you get more questions. We got more great information about these coverages coming right up. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Hot Locks Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Hot Locks is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
All right, we're back with some more great information about insurances, the coverages, flood, homeowners, what covers what with our good friend and attorney, Mr. John McMenamin from McMenamin Law Group, MLG, aka John.
There you go.
Perfect. Like
Wow,
that.
that was like really cool. And I have the first question.
Yes, hold on. We do have a question from our audience right here in the studio.
I've been waiting
Yes,
through
Miss
the whole
DeLynn
break.
Gaston. Go ahead.
So I thought if a branch or something like that hit your roof to cause the leak coming into your house, I thought that was covered under your homeowners.
That should be covered under most policies.
Should,
be
key
covered.
word.
It makes.
Are you a politician or an attorney?
Well, we're kind of one and the same, aren't we?
Yeah, I know. This
No,
is why you need an
if a
attorney.
tree does fall over or a branch comes through your roof, generally it is covered. But there are some policies from non-admitted carriers. That's a whole different story. I encourage people to talk to their agent about it as to what type of policy they're getting. And if their insurance agent isn't able to or doesn't explain your insurance coverage to you when you ask them, you need to find a new agent.
Yeah,
Can
there you
I
go.
ask that? What is admitted and not admitted? Can you give the Reader's Digest?
I'll give you the Reader's Digest. The admitted carriers are insurance carriers that are backed by the Florida Insurance Guarantee Association.
So if they go broke?
So if they go broke, there's still coverage if there's a loss, but it's not an insurance company, it's a fund. And also, the rate filings and a lot of the form filings don't have to be approved by the state for a non-admitted carrier. So, for example, one company that's a non-admitted carrier under most circumstances, but there's lots of them, is Lloyd's London. Lloyd's London is not one company, it's many companies under one umbrella. They normally have certain things that are covered under their policy. Not everything's covered unless it's excluded, like most policies.
So they can be, being admitted means a good thing?
Being an admitted carrier is your preference.
So-
A non-admitted carrier is usually much more expensive and you get much less coverage, but they insure houses that most admitted carriers will not.
So if we had a huge disaster, being with a non-admitted carrier could be a potential risk because they may not be able to fund all of the losses and there's no fund in the state to back you up. Am I hearing you right here?
You're hearing me correctly.
Okay, good.
Hey, I listen.
I know.
I'm pretty smart like that, huh?
Yeah, you are. You see, you can go ahead and help him.
No.
You need an assistant? So let's talk about some of the things that did happen during Irma. I know that there were some people who, you said, full coverage, I have full coverage, and
There's a couple of
What
things
happened?
to take away from Hurricane Irma. Number one, there were two disasters that occurred within a short period of time. We had Texas and we had the hurricane event Irma in Florida. So there was a shortage of adjusters. There was some very inexperienced insurance adjusters out there that were
wow.
writing estimates.
You don't even think about that.
No,
Right.
most people don't. And once they get a decision from an insurance company, they usually say, okay, that must be what the answer is. There were a lot of mistakes made, and there was a lot of claims that were underpaid or denied, or they were claimed to be under the deductible amount. I was successful in a lot of instances in getting coverage for a lot of roofs that were supposedly the payment was under deductible, so there was no payment made. I was successful in getting a lot of those roofs covered. One of the things that we've seen quite a bit of, and it's getting more and more prominent, is insurance companies are employing their own companies to dry out your house. If, for example, a pipe breaks and it floods your house, immediately the first thing you do is panic.
Right.
That's the first thing that you shouldn't do. You need to take a step back, and instead of calling the first number you see on Google or
Right,
whatever,
right.
however you find a phone number, you need to call your insurance company, because there's a lot of policies now, because that insurance company has a contract with you. That insurance policy is a contract. It requires you to use one of their vendors or their employees to dry your house out. If you call one of these other companies and sign a contract, you could be on the hook for many thousands of dollars.
for the whole thing.
Yeah.
They might not cover it at all because it's not one of their providers. And he's talking about the dry me out places, the places who the fire flood restoration places who will come and suck the water out of the house and things like that and help you. Don't call them first.
My
your
suggestion
insurance
is to
company
call the
first.
insurance company first to make sure that you're doing the right thing so you don't get stuck with a big bill. At least let them tell you that you don't need to use one of their own vendors before you
Right.
call
So
anyone.
can I ask you this?
Sure.
Your opinion. And I know, we got legitimate businesses out
Sure.
there. Are those companies, the fire restoration, water, Are they legitimate businesses in the insurance company's eyes, or?
Glad you asked that question. There's a lot of good companies out there, and there's a lot of bad ones. There was a lot of predatory companies out there, particularly after the hurricane, and if there's ever a flood event in the area, you'll see a lot of these as well. There's a lot of companies out there, and even the legitimate ones use these, but they're more upfront about it. They have you sign what's called an assignment of benefits. What that means is that you're turning over the rights to the insurance payments from the insurance company to the company that's doing the work. So you're assigning any right to the claim over to this other company. So now you've lost control of your claim. So now a lot of the unscrupulous carrier or companies out there will have an assignment of benefits that it's not the first thing you see. You don't really know what you're signing because it's an emergency. You just
Right,
want
you're
someone to
just-
deal with it.
Just want the water out of your kitchen.
And meanwhile, you've turned over all of your rights, including the tear out and the rebuild of your house, to another company, and you've lost the discretion as to how your house is even being repaired. It's something that you need to be very
because
careful
those
about.
dry out companies, they don't do the repairs, right?
A lot of them do now.
Yeah, they.
A lot of them have.
I had that happen with a washing machine hose in one of my places. The hose went, psh, and this company came out. Oh, we'll take care of it. You know, within minutes they had blowers and all this, and then they started tearing out the drywall, stripping, and I'm like, whoa, 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 and they came in and did all of it, and I had really,
Did they make you sign over
they did.
your?
They made me
They
sign
made you
something
sign
over.
the thing.
And
But what
then,
happens, John says, is sometimes it's falls short.
well, and there's a lot of good companies out there. I urge people to make sure they know what company they're dealing with. There's companies in every community that have a reputation for being good companies that have been in business for a long time. Go with those companies. Don't go with a no-name company. Don't go with someone that knocks on your door after a disaster. You don't know who you're dealing with.
Or like
and you
you
can
said,
get stuck with a huge
research it.
bill.
Yeah, like you said, research it. Ask neighbors. Ask online, Trinity Chat, and all of those. You can certainly get recommendations and things like that, and you can see the bad
do your
people
due
too.
diligence, and
Like-
we're gonna have some more tips, DeLynn. I love how I. Gotta love
That
her.
means
You
shut
gotta love
up.
her. I was trying to be nice about it. We got some more great tips coming up on insurance with Mr. John McMenamin right after this. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jerry from Luxe Hair Salon. We are conveniently located at 13414 US Highway 19 in Hudson. I've been a local hairstylist in our community for the last 34 years, 7 of which I was an educator. Our passion is the artistry of hair, and Luxe is here to help you achieve your perfect image. You can call us at 727-514-9978.
Hey, we're back with Mr. John McMenamin, aka John. That's all I'm going with this time.
There you
go. Great information on homeowners insurance coverage,
Flood
insurance
insurance,
coverage.
And
We're
what's
in-
what, when it's when.
Yeah, we're in the middle of hurricane season. I mean, it's been raining every day.
So one of the things that we did want to say, right, John? stand in an ankle-deep water.
If you get anything from our talk today, I encourage folks, whether it's 5 minutes after you're standing in ankle-deep water or if it's 2 hours, it's not going to change things very much. Take the time, do your due diligence, find a reputable company in the area, or if you need to, call a reputable attorney in the area that handles homeowners insurance claims. They can usually steer you in the right direction to a company that's been around, that's got a good reputation, that's going to take care of the insured. And
So
make
don't
sure.
panic and call the first
Panic is you-
restoration place.
Panic
you come
is
to.
a natural first reaction,
Yeah.
but I urge you to take a step back and do your due diligence before you hire anyone, because you don't want to get stuck with an inadequate company
Right.
to do the work at your home.
What about calling your insurance company? Should that be?
Absolute, Barry, you probably took the words right out of my mouth. I should have started with that. Calling your insurance company first is the first step.
Right, okay. And then if you want to, and then go from there.
Sure.
I know. So,
And any reputable attorney, for the most part, generally they'll give free consultation. So most folks are happy to talk to you and at least point you in the right direction if you need help.
and a reputable attorney will help dictate between, homeowners covered, flood insurance covered, or neither covered.
We can,
And that's.
Yeah, that whole neither thing with the toilet was a
I mean,
surpriser.
hey, can I give a little story?
please.
Because I love to tell stories.
I
I'm
know.
a story guy. You know that. You know
And
that
this
about
is
me.
this is a gross one.
So I have a townhome, right? And actually, John helped me with this. So, townhome, it's the water, everything is done through the HOA, etc. The sewer pipe out by the street was off. It was chopped or something by the landscape company. Somebody was kind enough to take a Corona. They were very specific on the
Hey.
sewer bottle, dropped it in the pipe because there was no cap in it. So somebody just dropped it in there. So my tenant's in there and they flush the toilet and they turn on
backs up.
the sink or turn on the shower and all the water starts rising. The entire unit had this much water on it of backup, and it wasn't pretty smelling. It was awful. Carpets were destroyed.
Was it on the first floor?
It was on the first floor. It was a two-story unit.
gosh.
Now, whose liability is that?
Great question. That's generally referred to as a black water flood. That's where it's got sewage in it.
Is that a flood coverage? Is that a homeowner's coverage? Or is
it's-
that nobody's coverage?
That's unfortunately, we were
The
talking about
HOA.
sewer backups recently here. Sewer backups may or may not be covered under your policy. It may be an additional rider that you can get on your policy. I urge you to talk to your insurance agent to find out whether or not that's covered, because that is a very expensive cleanup, because it has to be decontaminated as well as dried out.
Oh, it was terrible.
It's a disaster.
I had to
And
put all new flooring in everywhere, like downstairs. My tenant was excited though. They got all new
They
flooring.
got all new flooring.
it's amazing how
Wow.
much damage water can do, and people don't realize it until they've had it happen to them.
Especially stinky water.
Stinky water is really bad. But as far as the homeowners association, whether or not the cap got broken off and how that happened, that's a whole other issue with homeowners association law. But it would not be covered under flood because it's not water that touched the ground first. It actually was a pipe, and the
Right.
pipe backed up. The
So
Corona
it should
bottle
be
caused the backup.
homeowners then.
It could be.
Could be.
Could
so
be.
so interestingly enough, what I learned today is that not all homeowners insurance automatically would include something with your plumbing in your bathroom.
Each year you're going to get a packet with your bill called endorsements to your policy, and it changes your coverage. And chances are it's not going to raise the amount of coverage or the types of coverage you get. Usually they're
So
taking away
Usually
coverages.
an endorsement is a good thing, like when you're running for public office, back to politics. You get an endorsement for somebody, that's a good thing.
Not an
So when you got
insurance.
an endorsement on your policy, that's not necessarily
That's
a good thing.
not usually a good thing. Usually means your bill went up and your coverage went down.
So they excluded something else.
Yes, that's generally what happens. Or they've changed how it's covered. So each year you're going to see a lot of differences to your policy, and each year we have less and less coverage.
You know what I love about John too?
What?
he will do a coverage analysis for you if you'd like.
Yeah,
He's been more than willing
and-
to read through your policy and
Happy to
pretty
do
much
it.
interpret it because
You need to.
you know,
And
blah,
before
blah,
you-
blah, blah, blah,
listen,
blah, blah.
And for our home buyers, because I know that's who's watching our show,
Mm-hmm.
sit down with your agent before you close on the house. Go over the coverages, go over the policy.
Yes.
And a good reputable agent isn't going to sell you something they don't think you need. They're going to recommend and explain the coverages. So I think it's, your power partners always are.
and I guess and ask these questions, right?
Yeah. And-
Is a backup,
Look,
and knowing
a
the right
sewage
questions-
backup, is that covered?
And if you've never owned a home before, your real estate agent, your lender, and your insurance agent are your best friends. So
Yeah.
we gotta move on to some community events here right now. What's going on in the community, DeLynn? Anything?
No, we're pretty bored right
okay,
now. No, I'm
that's
kidding.
What about West Pasco Business Association? Our good
But of
friends.
course, WPBA has a
WPBA
lot
always
of
has
really
something
cool
going
stuff.
on. We got one of the funnest events going on, I think, in the community, and it's Bowling for Boobs. Is it number 4?
It
Number
is.
5.
Oh,
Five.
I think we're on
5.
number 5. Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
John.
Number
we
5,
only
yeah,
started
we
it.
started it a
I know.
while
We don't
ago,
remember.
Yeah,
We're
it's
on one
been
of
a while.
So it's Bowling for Boobs number 5, and this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October. So we always do it to kick off the month of October. It is on the last Tuesday in September, which is September 25th this year. It's at Lane Glow Bowling in Newport Richey on Old 54. What we'd like you to do is please go online to WPBA.biz or WPBA.rocks and sign up your team
And there's
because
some sponsorships
it
still
sells
available.
out fast.
And we do book from the lane.
From the good lane, smack dab in the middle, all
Yeah,
the way
and they're
out.
already going.
So
They're already going
Yeah,
quick,
first come,
so
first serve. So you
some-
guys got to get in
Yeah,
really
so
quick.
Get in on that, and guys,
Look
you
at
can
the
wear
pictures online
Guys,
too.
you can wear a bra on the outside.
And we got
it's the
pictures.
one day a year you're going to be allowed to do it and still be socially acceptable.
And you can attend as a spectator, can't you?
You can
Yes.
come as a spectator for $15, get a lot of great food.
I was
and
gonna say
just
we have
enjoy
lots
the
of food.
festivities. Because DeLynn thinks I should get a cannon this year, but that's another thing. We'll
Yeah, I had this great idea.
talk about it. So
we
come
do
to the
fun
event.
stuff. We change
Yeah,
it
that's
up
another
every
show.
year.
Yeah, that's a whole other show. So anyway, great information today, John.
Thank you, John, for being with
on
us.
the show.
Thanks for having me.
Get us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Share it, like it, and
All that fun stuff.
all that fun stuff. We're all over.
We appreciate you all watching. We are Today and Every Day.
Moving forward.
Thanks, John. Have a
We
great
didn't
week,
even
everybody.
coach him. See you next week. Bye-bye.